Okay.
Hello, and welcome to Homer for Thursday, July 31st,
Yeah.
2025. Today we will be reading from lines 595 to 615 in Book 11 of the Iliad. This is a fantastic passage for those of us who appreciate our protagonist of the story today, or all these days, these years in which we undertake the Iliad, because Achilles gets to speak. I hope you enjoy it, and thank you so much for being here with me today. Thus then did they fight as it were a flaming fire. Meanwhile the mares of Neleus, all in a lather with sweat, were bearing Nestor out of the fight, and with him Machaon, shepherd of his people. Achilles saw and took note, for he was standing on the stern of his ship, watching the hard stress and struggle of the fight. He called from the ship to his comrade Patroclus, who heard him in the tent and came out looking like Ares himself. Here indeed was the beginning of the ill that presently befell him. "Why," said he, "Achilles, do you call me? What do you want? What do you want with me?" And Achilles answered, "Noble son of Menoetius, man after my own heart, I take it that I shall now have the Achaeans praying at my knees, for they are in great straits. Go, Patroclus, and ask Nestor, who is that he is bearing away wounded from the field. From his back I should say it was Machaon, son of Asclepius, but I could not see his face, for the horses went by me at full speed." Excellent. Let's do the Greek. Hos hoimen marnat nan todemas purosai tomenoio. Nestoredek polemoio peron leia hippoi. Idrosai egon macaon apoi menelauon. Tonde idon noes et podarches dios achielaus. Esteke garapi plunne megakete inei. E soron polonai ponio cadetak duroeson. Aipsadetai roneon patrocleia prosepe. Theng samenos parane osodek tisieth nucusas. Ekmolaniso serei kakuo darahoi pelenarkei. Ton poteros prosepe menoitio alkimos huios. Tipte deki kleske sakilau. Tidese craumoio. Ton dapame bomenos prosepe porosocus achielaus. Die menoitiade toemoi cacaris menetumoi. Nun noio periguon atemas tethesta iacaius. Li somenos creio carican taiu catanectos. Aliti nun patroc tedii pilines torereio. Pontino tu tonege beble menonec polemoio. Etoimen tagopiste macao nipante eoike. Toias clapiade ataruc idonor matafotos. O matafotos. Hippo ergarme pareixan prosso memawiai. Amazing. So, this first line here. Hos hoimen marnan todemas purosai tomenoio. So they battled like a raging fire. I really like these me verbs in the Iliad. I'm pretty sure marnanto is a me verb. Mar the me, I don't know, I don't know. Anyway, it's like a fighting verb. It's like ornumi, you know what I mean? It gives you the sort of impulsion forward, right? And I guess what makes the impulsion, the impelling of these heroes even more salient is the fire, the mention of the fire. There are 19 mentions of the burning fire in the Iliad, and there's only one mention of burning and this adjectival sense in the Odyssey. And I think that says a lot about the society in which the Iliad and I think it says a lot about the difference between the Iliad and the Odyssey, that the Iliad is always moving forward to the next event, right? And that moving forward is like a burning fire. I relate this to, our common parlance today because, the Homeric idea of temporality is, of course, always tainted by the poet's innovation, right? And there's other parts in this reading today which have a lot to do with the poet's innovation, right? So a lot of people here you know, in this response that Achilles gives, "Nun noio perigunateras tesestaiakaius lisominus," right? I think now that at my knees will the Achaeans be supplicating to me. Well, weren't they already doing that in book 9, right? So the question is like, you know, was book 9 added after this passage was listed from like an earlier tale that did not have the sort of back and forth aspect of the embassy in book 9? But once again, like that's a very interesting, like logical, like inconsistency that we feel from maybe innovation in the Iliad, maybe not, but really, I mean, we're pushing forward to something else. And you hear pushing forward in something else in these words right here, "Ek molani sosere yikaku darahoi palanake," right? So he went out looking like godlike Ares. This is Patroclus, the son of Menoetius. What's the exact word? Kaku darahoi palanake. Arche, the beginning, followed for him. Ara, so or hoi pelin, followed for him. Ara at this point, Kaku. So all the badness of Patroclus's life, his coming death in book 16, started right here, is what the poet's telling us, which is a huge advance. I mean, we're 3,000 lines early, you know, talking about the evil that's going to befall Patroclus, and here he's just helping out the son of Machaon, who is, you know, heading into the camp. Which brings me to the final thing that I would like to mention, which goes back to the idea that we were discussing, you know, in the sort of preamble to the reading, which is, you know, how important it is when Achilles shows up on the scene. One of the most important things about this passage for me, as somebody that, you know, likes to recite the Homer, sing the Homer, think about how the poet actually performed the Homer, right, is this single word response. Right, I kind of messed up in the recitation, but it's a single line, right? This is the only single line of dialogue. The Iliad avoids single lines, you know, a little back and forth dialogue, right? This is the only single line of dialogue that we see until book 16. So all the way up until now, all the way up until book 16, this is the only one in the Iliad. I think that's quite formative. And it also speaks to the really crucial relationship between, Patroclus and Achilles. You know, I guess the last thing that, you know, you can say is, and this is not something that I guess, you know, comes in any great poetic stride or like, you know, any great, you know, critical analytic form, but I think it's very touching that, you know, the horses, you know, bear past Achilles and he's able to recognize Machaon, right, by his body, although he couldn't see his face. I think that's, I mean, it's very interesting, right? I mean, there's so many heroes on the Iliadic battlefield, and he recognizes this guy by his body, by the back of his body. I think, what's the word here? I did not see him, you know, in my eyes, right? I only saw tagopiste, right? Panta tagopiste. Everything that was behind him seemed to me to be, you know, Machaon. I don't know, like, what person do you have a relationship with where, you know, you can recognize them by, you know, without looking at their face and just seeing them, you know, draped over a chariot from behind, or, you know, maybe something else along those lines. Anyway, questions to ask yourself. With that, I leave you, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for more Homer. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a wonderful day.